All right, y'all. Y'all ready to get y'all caught up? Let's get this party started. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. Will Rogers, a.k.a. Master Teacher 33. And today, what is today? I'm still about a lot of stuffy nose, but other than that, your boy's back. Today is Monday, that's right. Monday, August the 15th, 2022. Time is 2:40 Central. I'm going to jump right in. Suffering, my brothers and sisters, is a catalyst for growth. So they want to break down or give you a brief introduction for tonight as we get into breaking down the 7 keys to over and understanding the universal, unified field of what we call physics. And physics is what we call feelings. And feelings is what we call microorganisms or gut. So your gut feeling. So today we want to talk about all suffering is because you are ignoring your higher self. That's your gut. So your gut is given to you by you, if you will, or by the big G to assist you on your journey in this dimension. And once again, I do apologize for the voice and not being 100%. But as you guys know, the show must go on. So today we get to talk about this gut feeling and the fact that all suffering, regardless of what it is and how it starts, all disappointment, all of the fruit of the flesh, fear, doubt, unbelief, licentiousness, all of that good stuff. I'm going to be taking water breaks, hydration breaks. Go off the call today, stay hydrated. So that way you wouldn't get through the call today. And when we talk about the gut feeling, what are we talking about? Well, everybody on this call, you form, you deform, and then you reform. You have different ideals. Suffering is the catalyst for growth because suffering is the fact that there's a distance between where you are at and where you want to be. And quantum mechanics explains how to bridge the gap between where you are at and where you want to be. Excuse me. So tonight we get to break down the definition of quantum physics, quantum mechanics, and quantum physics to understand how do we bridge this gap? How do I align with my highest possible design? And what's stopping me? Well, you are ignoring your gut feeling. So there's a feeling that you get. It's like, how do you know that you are the vibrational equivalent of your destiny? Well, it goes through with this thing that we call awareness. Because awareness, it locks in your reality. Your emotions, they attract things, people, places, and things that create your reality. So when we look at quantum mechanics, what we're really doing is, and what we're going to be breaking down tonight is going into a layman's terms. We're not going to talk about the numbers as much as we're going to talk about the feelings, because the feelings create the field. So since my awareness solidifies, in other words, as we will break down tonight, in quantum mechanics, the double split experiment states that the observer determines the particle manifestation of the wave. No observer, no manifestation. In other words, the universe exists in a wave state until you collapse it. We break that down tonight. That'll destroy your reality. Because what I just said, nothing exists until you determine that it exists. Damn. Come on, preacher. So we got to break down, how do you determine what exists? Because you're telling me that what exists, you did not determine that. But based upon science and physics, you did. So you're doing something that you're not aware. We all do that. Today, right now, you are the vibrational equivalent of what you do not want. That's what desires are. Desires are nothing but the vibrational equivalent of what we do not want. So why would you order something that you did not want or do not want? Well, as we talked about before, and as we go to break down tonight, we are in a wanting state. We're not in a having state. And so the difference is suffering. Suffering is the difference between wanting and having. We call that suffering. And, excuse me, it's getting more and more interesting now because the dominant culture is aware of the tools that generate more suffering. Like, if I just go through and destroy everything that allows you to live a life of, let's say, luxury. So, what if I just pollute all the water on the planet? What if I just hijack all of the air on the planet? What if I destroy the soil on the planet? What if I, instead of attacking you, what if I attack and destroy all the things that supply you? What if I first destroy your God by giving you other gods? Like it says in Judges chapter 6, verse 33. And again, I do apologize for the voice. I'm about slowly getting back. And yesterday I just got hit with a bomb. Woke up today feeling a whole lot better. Got my workout back in. So now it's just no more fever, no more chills and shakes and all that good stuff. Just got a little scratch in my voice. That should be gone by the end of the day. But suffering is a separation between what you want and what you have. The dominant culture must make sure that you stay in a state of suffering. So you got to not allow the dominant culture. If they pollute your water, you got to depollute it. If they pollute the air, you got to depollute the air. If they remove all of the seeds, you got to find heirloom seeds. If they water down into a genetically modified chicken, you may have to grow your own chicken. So in other words, the dominant culture has figured out, okay, we can't kill these Negroes. They multiply too fast. So what can we do? Well, what supplies the Negro with their Negroism? What allows the Negro to produce melanin? Well, it's water. See, water is life. No water, no life. So I got to contaminate the water, the air, the food. So it's not against you, boo-boo. They're not attacking you. They are attacking the thing that supplies you, so that way they can create suffering. Because at the end of the day, the only way to control you, keep you on the plantation, make sure you're a good houseman, is to keep your ass suffering, keep you in a state of fear, doubt, and unbelief. And the best way to do that is the ability to rely upon someone outside of the self, because then you ignore your gut feelings. Now, the physics of this is crazy. Like, what I'll be sharing tonight is, even though I talk about it and share it, been researching it for 30 years, it still is like the most profound stuff I ever talk about. The quantum mind. Your mind is a quantum computer. So Elon Musk was smart enough, if you want to use that term, or dumb enough to reverse engineer your brain. And Elon Musk said, we created them, now they will create us. So artificial intelligence and robotics is based upon over understanding that consciousness is all that there is. So when you over understand that remote viewing does something to subatomic particles. So subatomic particles and the neuroscience of mathematics and reason and logic, it breaks down quarks, quinons, and muons. On the fundamental level of the universe, there is something called space-time. Now, we are really outside of space-time unless we drop down in desire. So, space-time is structured thought. In other words, a particle is structured. Remember, numbers and letters don't exist. Numbers and letters exist because we're so vibrationally dense that we can't understand shit without labeling it. And so the big deal was like, okay, these fools are so stupid. We got to find a way to get them back. So let's just do the foolishness of preaching. This shit is so dumb, but we got to start somewhere. So where do we start? Well, we start with the dumbest thing on the planet. What is the dumbest thing that we could do? Scribble shit in the ground or put it on the wall somewhere. Make letters. Letters are fetchers. And so, excuse me, apologize about that. So the big G decided to use fetters. These are chains. So he put these inside of your DNA. The DNA is made up of letters. And I don't know why this is difficult, but it is. This is the hardest thing to understand is all suffering is the fact that you're not listening to your own letters. You can't suffer. There's no such thing. Suffering doesn't exist unless you do not have reason and logic, love and compassion, knowledge and wisdom that supports a superior discernment. It gives you and it activates the DLPFC, which is a region of the brain that is activated when you have a reason to change your season and get rid of legion. Excuse me, which we'll be breaking down tonight. We are in a time, I just went to the grocery store today and I came out with 2 bags and it was $100. And I noticed like the cost of, excuse me, like the eggs and the meat, like a carton of eggs, like $4 and something. And I'm noticing the price of things, because remember the goal is I got to keep you in a state where you don't listen to your gut. So you're worried about external, because that messes up the frequency patterns of how quantum mechanics work. So the super unification field states that you are unified with source, which means you are all knowing. It means you are all power, which means you are all present, which means you are all simple, which means you are all benevolent. So if you are in a have state, if you have all of this, have, it's really, you cannot worry about what you have. See, I have a car. Do I worry about my car? Fuck no. How come? I already got it. So you got a problem. What's the problem? You worry, not you personally, but people you know. Why you worry? You believe the narrative that's promoted by the dominant culture. Now, every show I've been doing for 20 years is the same shit. I just repeat it. Every day we talk about the same thing. Do not worry about what you should eat or what you should drink, because do you not know your Heavenly Father knows you have need of these things before you even ask. So why the bump are you asking? Because you went to TD Jakes and he told you some whack-ass shit. And not you personally, but you know. So the fact that you don't physically feel unified with source, suffering, your ass gonna suffer. And I just watch Negroes suffer every day. This shit is sad. Because you don't have to suffer. Nobody should suffer. Suffering doesn't exist. You gotta work hard to suffer. You gotta work really hard to be poor. You gotta work really, really hard to be sick. You gotta be really, 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 really hard to be in a bad relationship. Like you gotta work overtime. Because all this shit is like taking candy from a baby. So why does it exist, Doc? Well, we got clever marketing campaigns. That's why there's so much money spent on marketing. You know how much it costs to run a Facebook ad? You know how much it costs to run a YouTube ad? These are algorithms. So an algorithm is what? AI, artificial intelligence. So it puts your product in front of people that want to buy. But how does it know that you want to buy? Well, somebody's monitoring all your keystrokes on your computer. Why? Somebody is monitoring every search engine inquiry that you make. I tell you guys the research, Utah Data Center. Everything that you do in life is documented. If you go take a squat, somebody knows. It's like there's cameras in your house. There may be, there may not. Nobody knows. Let's say for another time. Well, what's the point, Doc? Well, the point is, for today's message, as we're getting ready for tonight's message, suffering is a catalyst for growth. Because you got to get rid of the suffering. So in order to get rid of the suffering, you got to grow. So you use your form. Now, you get informed. That's called information. So information is where everything starts, which is what I'm providing with you today. This information that you are receiving is going to create either deform or reform. You're going to reform, you're going to go in, you're going to make some adjustments, or you're going to go backwards. You're either moving forward or you're moving backwards. Nobody stays the same. So every day you're either moving towards your God-given destiny or you moving away from your God-given destiny every single day. That is difficult for the average Alakibala to understand. Every day. So nobody stays the same. Excuse me. We all are vibrating. That's good. So what does that mean, Doc? Well, in English, awareness locks in your reality. Your emotions attract your reality. So if I'm being aware of my current habit pattern, let's say it's negative. It's not negative, it's just current. When I become aware of it through observation, then what happens is if I'm able to be aware of the current habit pattern while maintaining a new life-sustaining pattern, that is the best way and the only way to function. Let me say it again. If, as we will break down tonight, we get into the universal unified field of physics, hopefully you guys have already signed up. If not, we pop it off tonight by about 8 o'clock. We're going to get into first breaking down this whole thing of what the beep is quantum mechanics. Why does it talk about this inside of the Bible? Why in Genesis, the first thing that's mentioned in the Bible is quantum mechanics? And so if we don't understand quantum mechanics, then we're in trouble because we don't understand the universal unified field. Then that means that we don't understand God because that's what God is. God is. He didn't create it. He is it. So it starts off in the Helios Biblios. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. It didn't say all throughout. It was the Bible said heaven and it says earth, more than one. But in this one, so there's one, and then there's a Mac of the mic. So there's a big one and then a little one, meaning as above, so below. But if you look at the story, it says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form. So we got to go in, we got to form. So you got to do the same thing. So whatever God did, you got to do because you're a little God. Even though you don't want to be one. You fighting like hell to not be one. And it's like the big G is dragging you, kicking and screaming all the way to your blessing, which is getting out of suffering. Which is getting to a mental disposition of love, joy, peace, gentleness, meekness, self-control. Against such things, there is no law. So that is the universal equivalency of the unified field of feeling one with God. This means I got a gut feeling, I act on my gut feeling. When I act on my gut feeling, it creates an electrical magnetic impulse that allows me to form, reform, or deform. I got that power, so do you. So it says, we're going to take something that is without form, and it is void, and it is dark. And we're going to do what God did. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. So you got to do the same thing. You got to speak light into water. We're going to be breaking that down later on during the series. That's called sonoluminescence. When you put sound into light, sound in the water, it creates light. Ooh, it's called Mayan, where we get the word Maya or matter or mator. In the ancient text, let me pull it up for you, it's spelled M-A-Y-I-M. Now, again, this is not a new believer show. It's not an old believer show. This is a gnosis. This is reason and logic, love and compassion show.
Strong's H4325. My.
So M-A-Y-I-N is where we get this English word for water. Excuse me. In the ancient text, it means urine. Don't tell nobody I told you. Now, we're not going to get into it. Everybody knows the municipal benefits of urine therapy. That's why over Europe, you see all those little fat cherubims or angels, they all pissing in the fountain the fountain of youth is urine because of what's contained in urine. But that's another subject for another time. That word means urine. So when we look at water, there are certain properties contained in water. And if you understand how to put your sound into those properties that are contained in urine or water, then that's how you are able to manifest or create. So what we're simply talking about today is the fact that everybody on the call, your gut feeling is being ignored by the higher self. That means the brain. Verse 3 of Genesis chapter 1 says, and then God said. So if you go back to verse 2 of Genesis chapter 1, we will notice that everything was without form. So we got to create form. And you create form by what you said, past tense, not what you say. So if you don't live in a world of what you said, you're not listening to your gut. That's super. Remember, this is the level where there's no devil. This is called super unification. So to be unified with the field, we're going to break down how what you said, but you don't remember what you said because you dropped from the sea of forgetfulness. So you forgotten that you are begotten. You don't know. That's not your fault. So you listen to niggas, they don't know you. Shit, you don't even know you. Otherwise, you would disrespect you. You would love you. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face. Then the Spirit of God, not God, but God's Spirit. Damn, God got a spirit? Yes, ma'am. God got a spirit. You got one too. So a spirit, is a group of related thoughts. And again, I do apologize for the voice, you guys. Now, once we understand that a spirit is a group, so you got to establish a group of related thoughts. You don't got a spirit. See, you're a spirit. You got a possession of the soul. That's quantum mechanics. So quantum physics is really breaking down how to create a unified field spirit that controls physics, or collapses particles. Your spirit is so dense. Your spirit is so heavy. It creates a gravitational pull so that the awareness and emotion that you maintain based upon the spirit is like a melanated Chi-Z deck. It's a deck. It's a doctrine of Chi-Z, of electricity and magnetism, that controls male or melanin. So male Chi-Z deck Chi-Z male. Everything is backwards. It sits upside down on this dimension. So Melchizedek is the only mother in the Bible that nobody knows shit about. No reverend, no doctor, no bishop. You will never hear a preacher preach about Melchizedek. You won't even talk about Melchizedek. You don't know what he is. Not you personally, of course, but, people you know. So anybody know who Melchizedek is? I'm asking for a friend. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. I know who the hell Melchizedek is. Shit, it took me 20 years to figure this shit out. So you think I ain't telling nobody. We'll break down a little bit of it later on tonight, but that's the secret sauce. How did fools in the Old Testament and the New Testament, how the hell Jesus say shit? I don't follow nobody but Melchizedek. But don't nobody know shit about Melchizedek. Because Melchizedek is a formula. Boo boo. He ain't a person. Now he could be a person. I mean, I ain't tripping. So if anybody thinks they know who Melchizedek is, please text me. Who do you think Melchizedek is? If you think you know who Melchizedek is, I'm all ears. See, you got to understand when you talk about electricity and magnetism. Because this is good, my brothers and sisters, if we are able to oscillate and vibrate on that level. That's the unified, that's what physics is. So physics controls the physical. But there's something that's behind the physical. That gets into a doctrine. It's a dodecahedron. So that's the first key of the melanated key of the Z-deck. You got to explain to me, what is a dodecahedron? Nobody starts there. Now, it's nobody's fault. None of us was taught. So a spirit is a vigorous disposition. It is a unaccountable or uncontrollable impulse. That is a spirit. Because it is established from a neural net. And when you establish this neurological network, excuse me, what it does is it becomes uncontrollable. And it becomes unaccountable. It just like kind of does whatever the beat they want to do. So you create the spirit. And then the spirit creates you. So I just highly recommend that you create a benevolent spirit. So your gut feelings that come up from your gut goes to your heart. And then from your heart, it should be carried out by the frontal lobe, because that's where the reason and logic is. So as we break it down, you got to live in a world using your inner vision. The pineal gland has optical lenses. I wonder why. Well, the pineal gland is seeing something, it's looking at something. Now, based upon quantum mechanics, these good old boys, this is what they do with Project CERN. They over and understand the basics of a dodecahedron that controls the impulse of the earth, or an electrical magnetic frequency. Now, electrical magnetic frequencies, letters and numbers, they exist for us. They don't exist in a 3D, in a 5D reality. And they surely don't exist in a 9D, where the big G is at. So these are lower level emanations. An emanation is a way by which we are able to connect, relate. So in other words, I have an emanation, you have an emanation. If we are similar in emanation, then we are connected. So the number one way that I know that I'm connected, that we are connected, is my instincts and your instincts are similar. Number two, you feel extremely secure, and I feel extremely secure. It's like, number three, we've known each other for a long time, and you feel comfortable. These are the keys, if you want to use that term, of a melanated, electrical magnetic doctrine. So your saying is what allows you to perform what we call a seance. You know, we've talked about this on many shows before. What you say creates your science. So seance and science, have to grab some more water, is what you say. So all you are is a walking, talking, breathing saying. So what are you saying? How are you saying it? Who are you saying it to? Well, you should be saying it to yourself. And you are, because you think it. So before you say it, you think it. Ooh. So what are you saying? What you say to other people is not as important as what you say to yourself. So when you talk to yourself, all you're doing is you're saying things to yourself right now. Because you're thinking, and you're thinking, and you're thinking, and you're thinking. So the only question is, what are you thinking? Then the next question is, are you thinking thoughts that are related? So you could be thinking about money. Then later on, you're going to be thinking about, food. Then later on, you're going to be thinking about little Johnny or little Susie. Then later on, you're going to think about, oh, it's my parents' birthday. So we're thinking, but a lot of times our thoughts are not related. So as I'll be breaking down later on tonight, if your thoughts are not related, in that you have to have a dominant ruling disposition. It's interesting to me because we live in a culture now where you can't have that. This is how I know this is a setup. This is how I know a lot of people, especially younger generations, because they don't really have a snowball chance in hell because they was born into it. Like older generation, we learned AI technology, skinny jeans, and all of this stuff. We learned it, and it's like you got to do like Caitlyn Jenner. You got to go through a change. You still have a gut that tells you you are a particle. That means that you collapse. You used to be a wave, but you collapse down into a particle based upon your God-given destiny or your design. But this culture was never a particle. If you're born and you're never established as a single stepping column of waves, then you will never ask that question. So what I do every day is try to think outside of my package. So if I'm a short black man, I try to think like a tall white man. And then once I learn how tall white men think, I try to think like, a skinny Asian man. Once I'm able to think like that, then I keep changing how I think so I can establish a spirit or a neurological network. And as a group of related thoughts. So when I go back and read Genesis chapter 1, I have a ruach that when I speak into the earth, the body, because right now it says in Genesis 1, in the beginning God created the heaven and the earth. So your head and your body is created by source. Then it says, and the earth, the body, was without form, and it was void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. So the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. So your body was 3D. So the source said we need to elevate because the earth is dirt. You made out of dirt. So the big G said we need a doctrine that uses letters and numbers, electricity and magnetism to control their melanin, because the melanin is black magic. It is toroidal and scalar in nature. And if they eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil before they eat from the tree of life, they'll be stuck in the 3D reality, and they will never be able to climb the tree to see 9D. You can never climb the tree to see 9D without understanding how your melanin be. And so, unfortunately, I understand it's not taught. I just haven't heard it. There's a lot of great gurus out there. But you must understand something, brothers and sisters. The earth was without form and void, but out of darkness we can be translated or be transformed into the marvelous light if we can speak into the waters. Since the body is made up of water and dirt, you got to use and create what's called sono, luminescence. That's Genesis 1:3. And God said, "There be you, boo-boo. Let there be light." And there was light. God saw the light, and it was good. God divided the light from the darkness. And then God called the light day, and he called the darkness night. And the evening and the morning, that was the first day. So we all know the Genesis story. That's the story of, quantum mechanics and quantum physics. So quantum mechanics and quantum physics is the key to get out of suffering. That's why we're bringing it down tonight at 8 p.m. Cost is $249 for that series because of the depth of knowledge that we'll be discussing. I've already sent out the books and then all of the precursors. It was about, about 20 shows that I sent out to everybody who's a part of this upcoming class. And so tonight we get to break down, to me, one of the most powerful things that I have ever learned, and that is spintronics. Under Overton said in the science of the unified state, or the super unification of oneness. That's the standard. The standard is simply, you got to have a ruling disposition. Since we're living in a culture of trans, everybody's in a trans state. No one is in the unified state. That's why you can have, you got options. You can be a male or female, just depending on how you're feeling. So since you don't, because physics only responds to an alpha state. It doesn't respond to a beta state. So that's why all males now under 40 are beta males, usually. These are most of the ones I know. You cannot find an alpha male. They kind of like, my generation is kind of the last of the alpha males. Because an alpha male, they have a ruling disposition. Like, you hit me, I'm going to hit you back. I'm not going to ask you why you hit me. I don't give a fuck if you're having a bad day. You keep your hands to yourself, bro. So I'm not going to go to no therapy session with you. We're not going to talk. We're not going to go see no therapist. We're not going to sing Kumbaya. We're not going to hold hands and pray. We're not going to go out to the woods and do no damn Wim Hof breathing technique. No, but when you put your hands on me, I'm going to try to put my hands on you. Only alpha males can do that. So we've got a culture now that's different. And it's not by accident. So what I'm really going to be teaching you is how to get shit done. I'm not trying to assimilate with the dominant culture. But I'm also not trying to hurt, harm, or defraud. The goal is simply to oscillate and vibrate in a state of unity with your divinity. That's simply means, number one, your instincts are at their best. And you just know. You just know. You may not be able to explain it. You just know. Your gut, since 13, I've been telling everybody, my gut has never been wrong. Because God put himself inside of you. That's why you got a gut feeling. Number one, your gut is at its best. That's the whole purpose of the class tonight. That's the whole purpose of everything I do, is to get you to operate in a state of oneness. Number two, you feel secure emotionally, physically, and financially. You don't give a mother beat about what's going on in the world. You don't care if the sky's falling. You don't care about the Russians. You don't care what's going on in Ukraine. And it's not that you don't care. It's just that you're at a state where you are at number three. You feel liberated and free. These are the 7 benefits of taking the class and being in a universal, unified feeling where you are physically aligned with your God-given design. We call that source. You feel liberated and free. Everybody else got their panties in the water. Why? Well, shit. It's all out here for a pimp. Bad shit is happening, Doc. You understand? No, I understand. I just don't give a blank. I'm in this world, but I'm not of this world. We take it to number 4. Number 4, you feel that you have known and that you are known. What does that mean? Number 4 is very powerful. Every day I wake up, I just have this feeling. Notice all of these are feelings because it's a gut feeling. That's the unified state. That's 9. That's how you know that you are in 5D on your way to 6, 7, and 8, and you're going to end up at 9T. Right now you're at 5D, but you just passed through 5D because you're going on up to 6, 7, 8. You're going to end up at 9T when you're the vibration equivalent of God on earth. So number 4, you have a feeling that you have been known and that you are known. Excuse me. Sorry about that. It's just a feeling though. It's like a feeling that everything that you know, you've already known. Like the stuff we're talking about, it's like I research it just to get reference material, but it's like I just know it. I just have a feeling like I already know this. So you have a feeling that you know and that you are known. That means that you know what you're supposed to say, and the people that's supposed to hear it, those are the people. That's why I don't worry about. I'm aware, but I don't worry. That's the difference between the want and have space. Remember what we said at the beginning of the show. All problems, what we call anxiety, is because where you are and what you want is not the same. So we gotta shorten the distance between. Let's say if you weigh 200 pounds and you want to get down to 150 pounds. Okay, that's 50 pounds. That's a pretty decent. Weight loss. Excuse me. But if you're at 200 pounds and you want to get down to 190 pounds, okay, that's only 10 pounds. Okay, we can do that. So you don't have no stress. You don't have no worry, no anxiety, no fear, no suffering. Because you only got, 10 pounds to lose. So suffering, wanting, anxiety, waiting is all a catalyst for growth. So the greater the suffering, the more of a catalyst there is for growth. Excuse me. So suffering is a good thing if you can manage it. Because a lot of people, we fold. Like I said the other last night, I think. Which is what? You will probably hear no 21 times before you hear your first yes. So be prepared. If you go apply for something and they say no, you shouldn't be shocked. Because you've been listening to my teachings and you know the game. You know that the universe is just double checking with you and making sure you know what you want. So the more of the things that you want that's outside of your design, the more no's you're going to receive before your shine. That's quantum mechanics. So if what you want is what you are having, is who you are being, if it ain't got nothing to do, excuse me, with your numbers, guess what? You got to work hard for it. Why? Well, it's outside of your design. That's suffering. So when you're going through a lot of problems in your life, that means that you ain't being you. Now, then that means what? Well, like me, my first 40 years on the planet, I didn't know nothing about me. Yeah, maybe first 30. So what does that mean? That means that you got to spend time with you. But what does that mean? Well, you got to turn off the TV. You got to stop hanging out with your friends. You got to stop going to the club. You got to stop watching TikTok videos. You literally have to ask yourself, who am I? What am I? Why am I here? What is my purpose? What is my destiny? What am I good at? What do I suck at? You got to be honest and authentic with yourself. Because if you do that, guess what? Now, you elevate in love with the self more than you do anyone else. Which means, you ready for number 5. Number 5 is, you trust yourself blindly. See, most people second guess themselves. I used to do that too. I used to have a thought, and then I would go ask T.D. Jakes, the Crystal Dollar, my pastor, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, sir, what do you think? So like when it's time for me to get in the military, and I was pondering, I got military promoted to every rank. I went from E0 to E6, the fastest almost in the history of the military. Nobody got to the rank that I got to when I was in the military faster than I did. So they said, like you blazing the trail. So when I told my colonel, I was like, hey, Colonel, I'm going to get out. He said, what? Man, this is easy for you, bro. Why are you getting out? So I got to save the city for Jesus. I said, what the? Yep. My pastor said that God wants me here. Now, I'll never forget my colonel. He told me that, what? God is everywhere. He's just not in San Antonio. He said, you sure? Like, he did not accept my resignation when I was given the extra military. He said, I'm not going to accept this. Funny story, after I got out of the military, he retired. I moved to New Mexico. I went to the law enforcement academy. Guess who was the head of the law enforcement academy? My old colonel for when I was active duty military. You know what he told me? I told you. So I just pissed away all of the military time. So I'd have been retired a long time ago. I could be sitting at home like a fat rat. Even though I'm sitting at home like a fat rat now. With support. Well, the point is I didn't listen to my gut. I listened to a preacher. Is it the preacher's fault? Oh, no. It's my fault. It's your fault. So we like to blame other people for our mistakes. Nobody told me to listen to that dude. Of course he don't tell me the thing that he is going to benefit him. Shit, I did the same thing. I was paying him $40,000 a year. Me and every other fool in the church. So you just do the math. You got 200 people paying you $40,000 a year? You'd be a fool to tell them it's like a doctor. Why the hell would I heal you? And I'm taking money from you. So no, boo-boo, I ain't trying to heal you. I want to make sure your ass stays sick. Just die, but die slow. I'm going to put you on a 40-year program. Because I need that check. Oh, you're going to die. But you're going to die about 75 or 80. So then by then I got your children on the program too. So they watch you take medicine, so they taking it. So now I got 5 more. So they got a good machine. You think they're going to mess up that? I ain't mad at them. You shouldn't be mad at me either. You should set up your machine. So if you follow your gut, if I had been following my gut, if I did decide to get out, it wouldn't be because I was in somebody else's church. Because I was starting my own. So see, we like to blame other people because we trust people blindly. Now, the only mother beep you should trust blindly is your beep self. Let's take this to number 6. See, you can communicate only with yourself. You cannot communicate with anyone else. Now, we think like we're talking right now. This is not communicating. We've been taught by the dominant culture. This is communicating. Let me blow my nose real quick. Okay. Okay. So we've been taught that this is communicating, but it is not. This is the foolishness of preaching. That means it's a low vibration. So what they call meditation, you should do that 24/7, 365. You should be able to communicate with yourself without ceasing. That's number 6. So number 6 is when you are, I'm going to use the word, ready for a class like the one we're doing this evening, you have the capacity, the ability to communicate with yourself. In fact, you see more worth and value in communicating with yourself than you do anyone else. Ooh. Say it again, preacher. Say that again. They didn't hit it in the back. So you get more worth and value with communicating with yourself than you do with anyone else. Ooh. Y'all didn't hear it. Y'all didn't hear me. You get deeper revelation. You get more, let's use the word, animation, more profound revelation or truth when you sit in the room. It's just you, and your other you. Now, I like hanging out with people. You know, I went to the store this morning by myself. I worked out by myself. Slept in my office last night because I was sick. Didn't want to get whatever I had, emphasis of the word had, past tense, boo-boo, whatever I had to anyone else. But what's the point? I'm totally comfortable with communicating in silence with myself. You know the hardest thing for most people is to be alone? It's crazy, but it's true. Last but not least, number 7. Number 7 is all of your rhema knowledge, revelations, come from yourself. It doesn't come from teachers like you. You are your own teacher. Number 7 is all of your deep revelations come from yourself. It doesn't come from T.D. Jakes or Master Teacher 33. Although Master Teacher 33, man, he's a bad dude. But I'll be sleeping on Master Teacher 33. But all your deep revelations come from yourself. It doesn't come from MT 33. So number 1, your gut, your instincts. You do your best work when you follow your gut, when you follow your instincts. Number 2, you feel, you can't even put it in words. So it's like shit could be going to hell in a handbasket, but you feel cool. You feel calm. You feel collected. You are extremely secure. Now you aware, and look at you walk around some of these people, you know, the repo man is in their front yard hooking up their car, and they say, hey man, what's going on? Is that good? Hey, God is on the throne. My brother prays Jesus. Jesus is alive and well. Yeah, I know people like that. House is burning down. Won't he do it? Yeah, I know. He is. What you gonna do about the repo your car? God has for me is for me. Well, I guess he didn't have that for you then. So y'all know I used to be that. That's what I'm saying. All these little jabs I be doing is jabs at myself because of how stupid I was when I was Christian. So I know we're not talking about anybody else. I'm always just talking about myself. Because they're making us dumb as I was. So once you are fully secure in yourself, number 3 is you are truly liberated and free to be you. You don't give a mother pig about what other people think. Number 4, that feeling that you have now you know that you know. Now, you used to guess, and you like when you kind of sure, but now, even when you wrong, you right. You just know. Which takes you to number 5, now you trust yourself. Takes you to number 6, so that now you can communicate with yourself. And number 7, now you get deep revelations from yourself. These are the 7 keys that you follow your gut. which is all the results of what we're going to be breaking down tonight, which is what we call quantum mechanics. So quantum mechanics is just us connecting with ourselves. But we're going to break down the physics of it, or the science behind it, so that way you can operate in what is called a unified, universal. Could you imagine if every one of us, let's say if everybody on this call, if we was arguing on the same page, just with the people on this call, we could change the world. Because there would be no arguing, there would be no bickering, there would be no discussions, because I would know what you're thinking, because you will be thinking the same thing I'm thinking. Because we're all connected to the same source. So if we are all connected to source, which is what the whole point of the class is, now we're all tapped into the unified field. So that's why all of our instincts, are working at their best, the same as God's. All of our feelings of being secure and being safe, so you can't leech out for me, and I can't leech out for you. Because I'm safe and you're safe. We all feeling magnanimous. We all are liberated. We all free. We all know God and God knows us. We trust. We communicate. And we're able to conversate. You see, brothers and sisters, when you're operating in the unified field, that's the only thing that's real. Nothing else exists except the unified field. And so now we need to get into that unified field, especially now. Because now they play mind games. These fools are destroying. They can't get the guns out of everybody's hands. They tried everything and they cannot induce order borders. They want to produce chaos so they can bring about order. They knew what order out of chaos. But you Negroes are not going cuckoo fast enough. So the dominant culture is getting a little nervous because they run out of time. So they're now trying to institute things that can destroy your source of life. Food, your water, the ability to obtain shelter. Now it's almost impossible to purchase to do what I just did. It's becoming extremely more difficult. It was difficult to do when I did it. Now it is becoming more difficult. So we're starting a class tonight. After this class, I think I may move the debt class back only because of the number of emails I've been getting about how to purchase a home if you're self-employed. So the next class after this one, the cost will be the same. So in September, you guys can start setting aside the credits if you want to take that class. We're going to be breaking down, I think I'm going to do that class first, how to purchase a home if you are self-employed. What you need to be doing today. Actually, you got to start a year in advance, as I found out. Preferably 2 years in advance, as I found out. So I want to share with you, especially when it comes to purchasing a home or any major purchase, and if you are self-employed, all the stuff that I learned the hard way. Like I don't know, you got to run all of your income through a major bank. Even if you have a major search engine, payment gateway like Square or PayPal, they don't care. Also, you got to get your credit score over 640, but it's not your TransUnion, it's not Equifax, it's not the credit score that you use. It's a separate private credit system that only the banks use. That I got to show you if you're ever thinking about purchasing your own home, if you don't have a W-2, if you are a 1099 or independent contractor or self-employed. So we're going to be doing that class at the end of August or early September. Then we'll get into how to live, how to use debt and credit to become financially successful. So we start the main class tonight. These are the next 3 pay-per-view classes. The one we got going on tonight. Then we got 2 more coming up after that one. And for the rest of the year. So my brothers and my sisters, again, it's an honor and a privilege to break bread with you to see you guys later on tonight as we start day 1 of the universal unified field of physics, That is the physically feeling unified with Source. I love you, appreciate you. There ain't nothing you can do about it. We're going to see y'all later on tonight. God bless.